All right. Hopefully somebody can jump in the chat. Let us know if you see us live. I don't see anybody on yet, but we are technically going live.
I just had a pop-up on my phone. It said out for the season live.
Oh, sweet.
I don't know. Technology.
Yeah. I'm hearing a weird sound.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's like a buzzing sound on and off.
I can hear it too.
Yeah.
Let me just do something.
We got somebody in the chat. Free Ride Films.
Did that fix the? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just my computer.
Okay. All right. So looks like we got a few people there. We'll just wait a couple of seconds to get a few more people in. Everybody's doing good tonight. How's it going, Tyler?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Just promoting that image you sent me. So hopefully we can get some people over from my channel.
Oh, we lost your video. You're upside down. There you go.
So what are you guys at for subscriber level on your channels?
I'm right around 4,500 right now, and I'm not sure where are you at now, Tyler.
I should get 3,000 in a couple days, so that's
nice.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Might have to do something for that.
Yeah, it just keeps growing a little bit at a time. It's been cool.
Yeah, like I mean, when you compare yourselves maybe to some of those bigger guys, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 4,000, 3,000, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I sometimes think, I want to have more or whatever, but I still can't believe I have as many as I have, really, to be honest. Especially just starting out a couple of years ago. I said when I started out, I'll be happy if I get 500 people to subscribe eventually. So,
so you're doing all right.
Perspective.
Yeah. All right. Let's get this started. All right, so welcome to episode 3 of the Out for the Season MTB Podcast, live on YouTube, where we're not injured, it's just winter. So we're joined by my co-host, as always, Tyler from Good Trails YouTube channel on the right side of your screen there. And today I want to welcome Darryl Vanacker. He's vice president of the Woodstock Cycling Club and the Pines. He's our guest today. So I guess we'll just throw it over to Darryl. Introduce yourselves, and I guess let people know who you are.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Darryl. I'm the VP for the Woodstock Cycling Club. I have only been doing that for about a year, but I've been helping with the club trails. We call our club trails the Pines. I've been doing that for probably 3 or 4 years. I've been riding my bike for about, honestly, I didn't touch a bike since I was a kid until maybe 6 years ago. And then, I've been doing that. We've kind of got mutual friends. I think I've heard I was involved with the club and thought we could have a good conversation.
For sure, yeah. Our buddy Mark, I've ridden with him a few times, gone to some bike park stuff with him. I know he's a friend of yours that you've ridden with. Anybody that watches the channel, Mark is the guy that I followed off of the Phantom Drop at Mountain Creek. He was the one that I kind of followed. And if you watch that video, he takes a couple extra pedal strokes that I didn't take. So I watched that video back and think I should have done exactly what he did. Yeah. He's a pretty good rider though.
Looks a little tricky, that drop. I don't know.
It is a little tricky. You just don't know how much speed to have, and a little bit more than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think drops, it seemed like a steep kind of landing. Was it a steep landing or?
It was actually sort of flat.
Oh, really?
And that's why a lot of people say you don't want to hit that drop with a lot of speed because of how flat the landing is. Huh. So you kind of want to just, and it's a very short transition as well. So you don't want a ton of speed or you'll overshoot the little landing that is there.
Okay. That's weird because the way I think of drops is that if it's more of a flat landing, like you always want your trajectory to be kind of with the grade of the ground, right? So if it's flatter, you usually want to be going faster so that when you land, you're going more out, right? If it's really a steep landing, you don't have to go so far out. You want to travel kind of down, but
it's a weird drop because I know people I talked to before said if you go too fast, you're going to overshoot the landing and basically be bucked right off your bike.
So is it like really steep and then flat quickly?
It's hard to describe. If Tyler, have you done it? Have you been to Mountain Creek, Tyler?
Yeah, I did it, and it's like you kind of have to just take 2 pedal strokes and sort of just like fall off of it. And my gut was go faster than I was going, but it's kind of just like you like it's hard to describe, but like you both wheels go off the edge and then you like fall straight down. It's a very strange feeling drop, and right after there's just a bunch of loose gravel too, so that doesn't help. Yeah,
it was definitely bigger than I was expecting, and I dropped faster than I was expecting. So yeah. So
you got lucky. It looked pretty. It looked a little scary, but you made it. You managed to do it, so that was good.
Yeah, I should have went back and done it right away while it was still fresh in my mind. But
I think you would have done better the second time.
Yeah, I was pretty scared though, and it was starting to rain, and since it's kind of a deck up there, I didn't want to risk, doing something stupid with it being wet. And yeah, so how'd you get involved with the Woodstock Cycling Club?
So basically I just reached out to the club one day, and there's a guy, Alistair Shaw. He was the trail maintenance guy at the time, and I was talking to him about building some more fun progressive features and whatnot, and he was all about it. So we got together and built a bunch of stuff that year, and then just kind of continued on working with him for a year or two. And I actually rode with some other guys who weren't involved in the club yet, but have since kind of taken it over. So Jack Bowes and Dave Cook, another Dave. Have you heard about him?
I've met him before at the slalom races in London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because my other buddy's Dave Cook, but then there's the Dave Cook in Woodstock. So
yeah. Spelt a little bit different. Yeah. But anyway, I knew those guys, those two, from riding just locally. We did a Collingwood trip once. I met them through my cousin who also rides mountain bikes. And I just those guys took on executive positions, and then they asked me to join them when the last VP left, which was a year ago.
Oh yeah. So cool. So you talk about building trails there at the Pines. Is that how easy is it to get new trails built there? Is that like a committee where you have to go through a million people to get anything approved, or?
It's tricky. And it's kind of been a mismatch of different things. Like for a period of time, we'd go and we'd kind of do within reason what we wanted, but then it's really, we have to go through Upper Thames, which they're not super friendly, or they don't cooperative towards some of the stuff we want to do. But so basically we lease the land from them, right? It's Upper Thames Conservation Authority that owns the land. Mm-hmm. And they want approval on a lot of the stuff that we do. There's a lot of talk about liability when we go to do anything. I think a lot of people in Ontario have the same issue. Some of it, I think, is kind of self-inflicted, though. Like they're worried about, worst case scenario, to the point where they don't really want you doing anything. Like it's the easiest thing for them to do is to say no, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd like to get even more people involved, and the more people that are involved, I think the more pressure you can maybe put on and advocate for mountain biking. And once they realize how many people there are that are involved and care about the trails, then they'll be more open to, what we're suggesting, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been an uphill battle for a lot of the progressive stuff. Like, I find, because they are cross country trails mostly, and the people are reluctant to have us change things in a more progressive manner. Like, I think mountain biking in general has gotten more progressive, and I think if we want to draw the youth in, we definitely need to build some more fun stuff, right? I love looking at what Florida's doing. Like, they don't have a lot of elevation, and they're building really progressive trails, fun trails, right? And we're not there yet. Like, Florida's got better trails than we do in terms of cross country.
Right.
I mean, we're lucky we got two lift access parks, but other than that, I would say they've got better cross country trails than we do.
Right.
But it doesn't mean we can't get there.
Right.
We just have to push for it.
Right. So is there a committee process to getting features suggested and approved?
So it has to go through the executive, essentially. Right. And so features, we have a little bit of leeway, but trails, if we're going to be putting trails in, they want coordinates and all sorts of stuff. They might even come out and look at what we're doing when we're doing it, because they don't want us taking trees out and stuff, right?
Right.
They're very conservation. They're a conservation authority, so they don't want us messing with it without their approval. So, yeah, that's kind of the way it goes. Yeah, and they're very reluctant for us to put anything in that, like jumps. Although, we do get away with some of those, but it's like I said, I think we need to advocate for more of the kind of stuff that we want there, right? So, I mean, and it's a rider awareness too. I find we don't have the riders. Like, I think it's like the chicken and the egg kind of scenario. Like you've ridden at the Pines, and I think I saw one video of yours where you're hitting the jump on Hotbot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really safe jump. It's actually a good one to learn on. But I mean, they had a race. They had their annual race. Frig, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. I don't race it.
Dairy.
Yeah, the Dairy Capital. The Dairy Capital race. Anyway, so before the race, that section of Trail of the Hotbot was part of the race, and they told everyone about the feature. They told people to go around. It's very easy to go around. It's not a huge feature or anything, but they warned everybody. And like the first group of racers that go through, it's like a bunch of people wipe out. Yeah. So, I mean, like, riders need to be aware of what to do in these situations too, because they're just, and I mean, they need to, yeah. I don't know. We need rider awareness. We need to build some progressive trails and get people used to them. We need to get more of the youth involved. I don't see a lot of the youth out. We need to do that for sure. And your Woodstock Cycling Club's, we've got a youth club or a youth program, and it's pretty good. So I commend them for that. And like, I've got an 8-year-old boy who I'm going to start bringing out to their youth program, and they have a blast. And but that's, you know what, that's all they want to do is hit all the fun stuff though, right?
Right.
So we need to give them more of that.
Yeah, that's I just saw in the comments there, somebody mentioned that their 7-year-old is bored of XC trails already. He's looking for the features. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sweating through your eyeballs isn't that much fun to a 10-year-old, or a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old even. Like, and you'd be amazed at how good they get and how fast they pick up all those skills, right?
Right.
And then, you know what, they can take it somewhere else from there. Like, the kind of trails we have locally are good trails to cut your teeth on, good trails to learn the basics. And that's what I did. Like I rode cross country trails, the trails around our area for a couple of years before I ever, went and did downhill. And it's a good way to start. And kids will learn that way too. And once they love it, then they'll be willing to travel for it. Because I mean, if you want to hit the good stuff, unfortunately for us, we got to travel for it, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's still fun to go hit those trails. I mean, I ride my bike to the Pines, and I'll still hit them once a week because it's fun to do. It's local, and like it's not like it's not fun, but it just, if you want to keep progressing, you do have to be willing to spread your wings and get out there. But I think anybody, even if you live in Whistler, like those guys still want to ride somewhere else. I mean, everybody wants to ride somewhere different than what their local trails are. Maybe not if you live in Squamish. I don't know. But yeah, so
I'd just like to have some local trails. So we have a loop around a lake here that's not that great, and it's all pretty much geared towards hiking and no biking. So I would love to have a place like the Pines that I could ride my bike to. Yeah.
I mean, so how I found biking, like I didn't even know what mountain biking was 6 or 7 years ago. I didn't even know, like I had no clue. Like there was like purposely built single track that with berms and jumps, and I was like, I had no idea, just because I don't know, I'd never seen it, I guess, or never paid attention to it. I don't know. But like the way I got into it was I went to the local bike shop because my daughter, who was probably like 4 at the time, I was going to buy her a bike, and then I thought, well, I better buy me a bike, and I just bought some crappy $700 hardtail, and I got out, and the Pines were local to me. Somebody told me about them, so I rode my bike over to there, and the first day I got out there, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, how did I not know that this existed? This is great. So I just fell in love with it then, and I mean, like I said, I rode local trails for a few years before I ever cutting my teeth, and then I was at Blue a few times, and I was hooked on downhill, and then you start traveling, and it's great. You get a sense of what good trails are too when you travel around and you go to different areas, right? Like even the way they build at Blue isn't the same as the way they build at Thunder Mountain or Mountain Creek or Killington, or every place is a little bit different, right? Even the terrain's different, and you get a sense of how things can be done. That's helped my building too. Definitely when you ride a lot of different places, right?
Right.
I mean, the best riders are probably going to be good riders, or the best builders are probably going to be good riders, right?
Right.
Just because if you know how to ride, you generally know how to put it together too.
Right. So yeah, I guess I'll throw that over to Tyler. Like, since you've done a lot of riding and been riding for a long time, have you done much trail building?
Yeah, that's good.
So I grew up in Niagara, and we had Short Hills was kind of our main XC area, but it was the type of riding, like we didn't really enjoy that style of riding. Like me and all my friends, we had downhill bikes, and that was really XC oriented. So we built a lot of features, and we built some short trails, but we liked downhill, and there wasn't much elevation, and everything we built was kind of a secret trail somewhere. So I'm like, the idea of having a committee and being in a committee or being in a group, I know about it, but it's kind of new to me. And it's really cool to see that it's starting in Ontario. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what does that whole committee look like in terms of how many people are in it, and the support that it gets from the community?
Yeah. Not enough yet. So yeah, our executive is, I don't know, like 9 people. And we really don't have as many volunteers as you would think, but we're going to need them this year because we had some major logging done on our trails, and they're in really bad shape right now. They went through and demolished a lot of them, really.
Wow.
But we're looking at it as a positive, a way to build them a little bit different. Like some of the trails, I always said it's like 1990s in there. It's just, I mean, we have a little bit of elevation, but it's like straight down, straight up. Like we need to drag this out a little bit and do some bench cutting if it's steep enough, but just to not just go straight down and straight up so you have the hardest climb, but to drag out the downhills that we do have, the elevation that we do have, the little elevation we do have, and then features. I mean, that's how you make flatter trails fun.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right. Like I look at something like the Hydrocut, and they don't have much more elevation. They maybe have a little bit more elevation than the Pines.
Yeah, a little bit.
But they do have a lot more features, which is cool. And do you guys sort of look at them as a sort of inspiration, I guess?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I look at them. I look at they're doing some good stuff. Some of it I question, but maybe it's just not my style. And then, but they're getting stuff done, which, like you can't complain about when things are getting done, and it's improving overall. It's better. Like they've got a few drops now that are a lot of fun. They've got some more challenging trails, and they've done some good stuff for sure.
Right. Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, what the difference between maybe their committee and the actions they've taken versus what you guys have taken. Is it just time? I know the Hydrocut's been around for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know if it's time. They have more users. They have more volunteers. I think we could be a little bit better at getting more people involved. I might have said that already, but I think, and we're definitely going to need more people to get involved this year with the logging. Right. But you also want the right people involved too. But you need at the end of the day, you need a lot of hands to build trails, and with the logging and everything, there's going to be a lot of man hours to put in. They have more leeway in what they're building too. They must, because they're getting away with some stuff that maybe we wouldn't even be able to. But I'd like to push the envelope a little bit and push the subject and maybe see some even more progressive stuff come in. We've stuck some stuff in that's good, but I'd like to keep going with it. And we have a good group in the executive right now, so I think we've got a chance to build some fun trails coming up.
Right. So I just got a question here. I'll just throw it up here. I guess that's the big question is, so how do people get involved?
How do you get involved? So we've got our AGM coming up, our annual general meeting. That's March 7th, I believe.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, it's on the website, woodstockcyclingclub.ca. And so that's one way, but I mean, just to come out and we actually put trail days on Facebook, I believe the website and stuff. We haven't been emailing the group, which I think we should do, is get an email out to everyone when we do those. And if you're really like keen and want to help, talking, just if you go out to a trail day, just say, hey, yeah, I'm here, and I'm really into doing this, and I want to be, because a lot of times there's non-official, like there's the official days where we get, we put that out to public and everybody and anybody shows up. But those days are generally just it's the big days where you're trying to get a lot of work done. And it's not like when you're trying to build a feature or do a berm or something, like it's more of a smaller group, right? Than what would show up on like a general day.
Right.
But yeah, so if you're interested, and there's the email for the club is on the website too.
Okay.
I think it's woodstockcyclingclub@gmail.
Okay.
Yeah, just reach out and that's how it happens.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on something you mentioned a few minutes ago about the jumps, that one jump line you have that at the Pines. That was the very first time I ever jumped on my mountain bike. I was at the Pines, and those are like you said, great little jumps to learn on. That little short little line there.
Yeah, the one that's kind of like a step up, almost a step up, but it's really just, you just sail it. Like the only thing you have to do is go fast through it, and it's super smooth. Like you land it and it doesn't feel like anything really when you finally do it. And if you don't have the speed to do it, it's also not a big deal to case it either.
Right.
So it's really, it's not, there's not a lot of consequence to it, even though I know some people have messed it up. It's a pretty smooth jump to learn. You just have to have the confidence to do it.
Right. Yeah, I was curious when you said during the race that a bunch of people crashed on that, like how it's a pretty tame jump. Like there isn't a lip on it.
Well, I think from what it was just from what I saw, because I saw a video of it, it was just them being surprised. Like they didn't know. Like people will hit stuff before they know what it is. Like that's why do you do that? I don't know.
Right.
I wouldn't do that unless I was confident. Like I don't know. You should always look before you leap, right? Right. Somebody just decided to go straight. I don't know. Maybe the race environment had something to do with it. It's like, oh, let's hurry up. And then they just lose their mind and hit something they're not prepared to do. Right. Right. But it shouldn't happen that way. But unfortunately, that's the way that one went. I don't think they'll include it in the next year's race.
No.
I think you might have nailed that with just the race mentality too. I was racing in Quebec this year, and I saw a lot of people do just that. Like you're racing, you can't memorize the whole course, and you just sail off something, and you're not prepared. And that sounds like what happened.
Yeah, I think they just didn't know what was up ahead. They weren't thinking straight. It's all about how fast I'm going. It's also, that's the other thing about some of these features too, is we're also pedaling our bikes a lot, so we're tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's harder to do these features on a cross country track than it would be at a downhill park, because you're gassed. You're coming up to something and you're tired, and that's when bad things happen. So you got to watch that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, your trail there, I think it's called Deer Run, where you have a few little like doubles and some nice berms. But that trail, I have to pedal so much that I'm too tired to jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you need a little bit of fitness too. You got to earn your fun on the cross country trails. We were talking about the training, and that's part of it, right? That's like a driver. Like I'm probably every year I go into the next year with a little bit more fitness. Right. And it helps, man. If you're fit, you almost can, you can sustain your pedaling longer, and it makes the cross country trails more fun because you can go faster.
Right.
I mean, trails get harder so if you're finding it boring, just go faster, right?
Right.
And it gets a lot harder.
Yeah.
But you need the fitness. You need the fitness for it.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can hit the season this year in a little bit better shape. I've been hitting the trainer pretty hard, so I'm gonna try to keep that up, and hopefully that translates. I feel like it should, because I'm pretty gassed by the end of a session on that trainer. So
yeah, you got to push it. It'll help.
Yeah. So
how about you, Tyler? Do you do any training over the winter for your mountain biking?
This is the first year I've started doing it. I just signed up for a gym, and I've been going and doing an hour on the bike and then half an hour on the elliptical, and then I'll do a little bit of weights, and it's paid off big time, because normally I don't ever go to the gym. Like I don't care about looking good. I just want to ride my bike. And in
right.
the wintertime, I don't do that. So I've always slacked, but it's really made a big difference this year in just the way I feel, going to the gym. And I'm going to be going on a bike trip in a couple of weeks. And I know that I'm going to be in much better shape because of it.
Right.
And it was kind of funny. It was motivated by when I started doing POV video last year, all the comments were like, dude, you're wheezing, like you're out of shape.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know. So I don't want to relive that again this
Right.
year.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been on the bike over the winter. It's been great.
So where are you planning to go? You said you're going somewhere in a couple weeks?
Maybe Windrock, maybe Bailey, maybe Pisgah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually going down there at the end of March, or middle of March, third week of March, something like that. Yeah, I think Darryl, you're actually coming on that trip.
I'd like to see if the date works for me, but yeah, I want to. I want to go back bad. It's the first trip I ever did was Pisgah. I went with Mark, and we did Pisgah and DuPont and Bailey's. So that was a good trip.
Yeah.
Have you been to North Carolina?
I have not.
No, neither of you guys?
I was at Bailey last year.
Oh, you went to Bailey's last year. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the other reason why I like getting out of the park. I like park, but I also like getting out of the park environment and just like the backwoods, backcountry type of trails. I like that. So
right.
That's another reason to get your fitness up too, because otherwise it's just painful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like if you go over to Pisgah and do the Black Mountain Trail, or we did Bennett's Gap when we were there, and DuPont's really good. We did another place, something Experiment Forest. It's like just north of Pisgah, and it was really good too. We did a Green Lick Trail there. It was called Green Licks. It was really good. But yeah, a ton of good riding there. It's awesome. I want to go back.
Yeah, that is, like you said, one of the reasons I'm trying to get my fitness up is for other stuff than park riding, because I know a lot of these places there's a ton of climbing to get to the beginning of the trail, and I want to be able to do that.
Yeah. Even like we did Quebec last year, and like Sentier de Moulin. I'm sure you guys have seen. You've been there, Tyler, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a ton of pedaling. We did 4 runs. That's all we got. I mean, kind of wish there was a lift, but there's not. And it's amazing. So I mean, you'd want to have your fitness for something like that. But fitness is going to help for downhill too. I think it's just your overall endurance on the bike, right? Like you're not going to get as tired. Like one of the big things I notice is when I do, what's the trail right below the lift at Blue Mountain with all the berms? I'm drawing a blank for some reason.
Showcase.
Yeah. Like when I'm fit, I don't feel as tired at the bottom of that trail, because I mean that's a shitload of berms to go through. Your legs are going to get tired, right?
Yeah.
So breaking bumps too.
Yeah.
It was actually in really good shape last year, probably because it was closed most of the time, but when it was actually open, it was in really good shape.
Mm-hmm. Maybe all the rain at the start of the year too.
Right. Yeah, I don't even think they opened up Showcase until almost Sea Otter, which was like the beginning of July. So, but it was in good shape.
Usually Minions Rush is just a wet mess too, but they fixed up a lot of areas in there. Yeah. It was running really good this year.
Well, speaking of which, I wanted to ask you, Darryl, I asked you to send me a picture of you for the thumbnail, and you sent me an x-ray of a really badly broken leg, I think it was.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
I broke my tibia and my fibia. That was a year and a half ago, I guess. Okay. Yeah. September.
How did you do that? Were you riding your bike?
Yeah, I was. And it was on Showcase. Forgot the name of the trail. Yeah, I want to call it a fluke, but so what happened was there's a steep berm there, and there's kind of a jump going into it, which I hit, but when I landed in the berm, I didn't hip it. Like I landed too upright in the berm, and I knew right away that it wasn't good. And I put my brakes on. I didn't wipe out yet. I was almost to a complete stop, but it was really steep there, and I kind of stumbled backwards. And as I stumbled backwards, my leg went through the front triangle of my bike. So my leg was stuck in the front triangle of my bike, and we slid. Like it was really steep there. I slid down, and the bike was putting pressure on my leg the whole way. And actually, I took the bike off my leg. I rubbed it. Actually, I was like, "Oh, that hurt," but I didn't think I broke my leg at that point. and I rubbed it, and I actually thought I was going to ride the rest of the day. I stood up, and as soon as I stood up, I knew I was in bad way. Yeah, I was in a bad way for sure. Because when I stood up, it was wobbly, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh my god!" And I knew you break your leg, like it's bad news, right? So I pretty much knew I was going to get some kind of metal, and surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I knew it was bad then, but I didn't know how bad it was going to be because I mean I got a rod from my knee down to my ankle. They actually put the rod in your tibia, and I got 2 screws at the top and 2 screws at the bottom holding it in. I want to get the screws out, but they don't want to take the rod out because that's like a major surgery. I'd be on crutches for another month. I was on crutches for 2 months with 2 crutches and then 1 month with 1 crutch, and I was still limping like 8-9 months later.
Shit.
So yeah,
so
it was a long process.
How does that affect you, like jumping back into biking? Like were you just like once you're ready to go, or
yeah,
a little like I'd be scared of getting hurt again?
I took it slow last year, or yeah, I didn't do as much downhill last year as I normally do. We put a pool in though, so I was busy with that. It kind of ate up a lot of my time this summer. But I did ride some, and you know what? It didn't really affect me that much, but it still does, but not as bad. It doesn't really hold me back, but I find once I'm feeling a little bit off, I'm more likely to say no. Whereas before I just push myself, and maybe that's one of the reasons why, well, I don't know. But I'm more likely to not push myself as much. But I've had a few good wipeouts. Definitely. Like I've always wanted to progress fast. So I've also broken my collarbone. Like I'd never broken a bone until I started mountain biking.
Yeah.
Broke my collarbone my second time downhill riding at Blue. I did the North Face. The North. Yeah. So my second time at Blue, I hit that and I landed it. And then I did it another time and I landed it. It was fine. But I was still riding above my level for sure. And third time, my luck ran out and I wiped it and broke my collarbone. So yeah. And you know what? The collarbone compared to the leg was a walk in the park. Mm-hmm. The leg really made me think about riding, but I just love it. So I don't know. I just have to be more careful, I guess. I don't know. Can you be more careful? There's a fine line of pushing yourself and progression. And it's hard to walk that line, I think.
Oh, I know. I'm constantly feel like I'm on that line because I want to progress, but at the same point, I don't want to break my leg.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you've done a good job so far. I mean, you've been pretty injury free, right?
Yeah. Knock on wood. Well, I just want to answer a question here. They want to know what the North Face at Blue. That's the North Face sort of drop to the side on Howley. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not the major, but like I said, it was only my second time ever on going downhill trails, and
I haven't done it. I've gone up on it and I jump off halfway, but I haven't done the full thing. But it doesn't really look that bad. But sometimes in person things looks scarier. Yeah.
It gets slippery too.
Yeah, I bet. Because it's kind of in the shade there, off to the side. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got a weird angle to it when you come off, right? I mean, if you have the right skill, it's not a big deal, but it's all about, what your skill level is. And at the time, my skill level was not as high as it maybe should have been to be doing that, but
right.
I paid the price.
A few people, like really good riders there, say not to even hit that jump
because you lose all your speed and then you can't hit the double after.
Right. Yeah. Because there's like that little step up or whatever after, and you kind of come into it at a weird angle and you lose all your speed. Yeah. But it's still, I'd like to try it this year at least.
Yeah. Do you ride it much at Blue, Tyler?
I haven't been since 2017, but we've been talking about it so much lately that it's probably going to be one of the first places I go. As soon as it opens, I want to go. And I think I had a downhill bike when I used to go there a lot, and it numbed the trail a bit too much. But now that I'm on a trail bike, it feels like it's the perfect bike for Blue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially when you got a pedal across the top.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a trail bike is what you want there.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just suggest not going there when it first opens because it'll probably be a wet, muddy mess. But,
okay.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped going, because it just happened so many times where I'd go up and then half of everything would be closed.
Yeah. I think I went up there 5 times last year, maybe 6, and only 2 times I went up there, everything was open. Everything. The other times it was like most of the good trails were closed.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to the precipitation. Before I go, I'm watching what's happening the few days before I go.
Yeah.
And, even if and then I won't risk going if it looks like there's a possibility of rain. Like it's not good in the wet there. The clay is you can't do it. The water doesn't get into the ground. It just gets into the top layer, and it's like a slick surface, right? And you just slide right out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just I think last year the thing is I like book a day off work and you're all like, I'm going to Blue next Friday, and even though the weather's probably not the best and you've looked at the forecast, you're just like, I've already booked the day off. I'm just gonna hope for the best. But this year I agree. If it's been raining or looks like it's gonna rain, I'm not gonna bother driving up 3 hours to ride 2 or 3 trails all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So
I wanted to ask, so jumping back to, you said like the pines have been logged a lot, and so are your plans to revitalize the trails that have been ruined, or just start fresh, or what's your plan?
We're starting fresh.
Okay.
This is kind of our big opportunity. I mean, some of the trails will probably be the same or similar, but there's some areas that they logged that, I mean, there's almost no point to even try to put it back the way it was, even if we wanted to, which we don't really want to. We want to kind of start fresh, and I think we can do a better job keeping our speed through a lot of areas. Like, I find a lot of times when you're riding the trails in our area, they were built in a way that it doesn't try to keep your speed. You're going, and then there's sharp turns left and right. And I mean, especially on a downhill grade, you shouldn't have to use your brake too much around here, because we don't want to lose our speed. We want to make our trails faster,
right?
Because there isn't a lot of elevation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to lose our speed when we want to carry our speed through all the terrain. And if you carry your speed through that little downhill section, like our undulating trails, now you're going to have more speed when it comes time to go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can carry your speed through. That's one of the things that there's a lot of sections at the Hydro Cut that I like, because you can carry your speed so well through some of those sections. That it's undulating, but you can save your energy by carrying your speed through the downhill sections
Right.
and then use that momentum, because mountain biking is all about momentum.
Right.
It's all about how you carry your momentum. You all right,
Yeah.
Tyler?
You all right?
Yeah, sorry.
It's not the coronavirus, is it?
No, I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good thing we're doing this remote.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I'm good. Sorry, I missed
So-
what you said there.
Oh, I was just saying about how I like mountain biking. I've thought about this is all about carrying momentum.
I was actually thinking too, what you said with some of the older trails are actually not as safe when they're built like that. You're carrying all your speed, and then you have a sharp turn at the end of the trail there. It's maybe not everybody's opinion, but sometimes safer trails are more fun too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely more fun for if you keep it flowy and fast.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we could ask for, really. We can't really make our kind of terrain more gnarly. Like, there's not crazy steepness and rocks, and it's not a downhill track, right? So I think that's why the hydro cut gets a lot of attention, is because it does have a lot of flowy sections.
Right.
And people love that, right? Anybody can ride it. And
Right.
then and the faster you go, the harder. So I mean, if you're a good rider, it can still be fun for you. It's like a flow trail at a bike park. I mean,
Right.
everybody loves it. Because if you're really good, you can go faster, and you can, hit little side things or do whatever that makes it more interesting for you. And then if you're not as good, you still have fun trying to carry your speed through
Right.
on a flow trail.
So do you guys plan to open up, come spring when you normally would, or is it going to be closed for a while, or what is the plan?
Yeah, it's closed right now. I think their plan was to open it March 1st I think maybe they wanted to try to get some fat biking in. I'm not sure. I'm not a big fat biker, so I haven't been paying attention to that. I think they've got a few trails they want to try to open though.
Okay.
And then the work starts to try to get stuff ready for the season. I think we'll be lucky to get all the trails in by the end of the year. I don't know
Right.
how fast it's going to go.
Right.
Like, I'm not even, so our trail head, Jack Bowes, he's probably got the master plan in his head to see how and how he wants it to go down. But I don't imagine he would even know how long it would take, because it's just a massive amount of work. It looks like a lot of the machines that they took through there, a lot of times they used our trails to bring the machines through, which means they just cut a whole bunch of tree. Like, it's I don't know if it's 6 or 8 feet wide, their machine that they brought through there, but they would use our trail almost in a lot of situations to get their machine through. So like, our trail's demolished.
Right.
And they just cut swaths through there, and then kind of cherry pick trees on either side, kind of
Right.
thing. And they left a lot of ground fall on the ground, and it's a lot to clear. And their machine left big ruts because they did it in like muddy conditions, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be a pretty big undertaking. But like I said, it's an opportunity for us to hopefully make things even better.
Yeah, like you said, maybe kind of bittersweet, but at the same point, it might improve things in the future.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some growing pains, and some people maybe will get frustrated at how long it takes, but it'll only be because it's a lot of work. So
Right.
we just hope everybody is patient and that it'll pay off. I think, or at least what we talked about, and what I'd like to see done, is that we get kind of one trail built right off the hop and get it done and get it running well, so that people see the improvements, and then they're okay with what's happening, and okay, this might take a while, but it's going to be an improvement, and it's going to be, good for everyone.
Right. I had a question I wanted to ask, but I should have made a note because I can't remember now.
I was going to ask a question about like nothing's free. Is the network? Do they have a sponsor, or is there like a GoFundMe?
We lease the land from the Upper Thames Conservation Authority, and then in order to pay for that, we charge a membership fee. And that's also a liability thing from my understanding of it, which is I don't know how places like the Hydro Cut like that's free. I guess because the city owns it, liability is different there.
There's sponsors there too.
Yeah, they use that money to build trail or whatever, but I don't think they pay to use the land. We have to actually pay to use the land that we have our trails on. So we have a membership fee, and you're technically not supposed to be riding unless you're a member. So we ask that everybody who rides there is a member. It's also a liability thing, because you have to read the liability waiver and sign off kind of thing before you get your membership. So that's what they do there.
Okay.
It's not a crazy amount of money. It's $35 a year. I mean, we all pay a lot of money for our bikes, but we don't pay a lot of money to ride. A lot of the trails around are free. You pay a little bit to park at Glen Eden or whatever, but I mean, you donate to Hydro Cut or some of the other trails.
Right.
But it's a membership system at the Pines.
I have a question here from the chat. How many members does the Pines currently have? Like
600 or 700, in between 600 and 700, which is quite a lot compared to what we used. It's growing. Like I think in 2003 it was 175 members. So, and even like 4 or 5 years ago, I think we were like 400 members. So I mean, it's growing.
Oh, I remember the question, because I'm kind of just south of London, Ontario, and I've talked to a few people in London about trying to get sort of better trails in London, and they're sort of like, well, look at the Woodstock Cycling Club and do what they're doing, because they're actually getting stuff done. So what are you guys doing differently, I guess, than what we're trying to do in London? Is it like, how did you guys, I don't know if you know the history, but how did it all get started?
Yeah. Well, they leased the Pines leased the land that we have in 1993 or something. That's how it started, from the Upper Thames Conservation Authority. And if you're from the area, you know that London has the Fanshawe Loop there, which is Upper Thames Conservation Authority land as well. But they have more oversight over that land, because they have it's actually a campground, and I think they haven't been as cooperative there, and they're the ones who actually handle the maintenance of the bike trails, although it sounds like they could maybe do a better job.
Right.
And they actually got rid of some of the funner bits last year, I think. Right. So they've got a struggle there. We've also got a struggle, but it's a little easier for us, even though I think it could be better for the both of us, right?
Right.
I think we just need to grow the membership and maybe make them aware of how important it is to the local community, right?
Right. Yeah, that's seems to be an uphill challenge with some places, but I think it's definitely good stuff happening. Like if you look at, you guys know where Uxbridge, Ontario is, sort of around where the Durham Forest trails are. They built like a pump track there last year, maybe it was just last year, but they're getting the Red Bull pump track championships or whatever coming there this year. So, if you build something and you get the community behind it, and you never know what you're going to get in there. So I'm trying to talk to some people here, and like I'm in St. Thomas, Ontario, try to get some stuff built locally, it'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a challenge to get stuff done.
Right.
Like even Brantford, they got that. I don't know if you've visited
I
their
haven't
bike
yet.
park.
No. Yeah.
So they've got like a dirt jump, almost like a. Are you familiar with Trashmore, or what's the Kitchener bike park called?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't been there
Oh,
before.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. They built something similar to that, but better in
Right.
Brantford. But they got the money from Trillium Foundation. It was a grant, and they got the land, I believe, from the city. But I mean, it's not. These aren't easy things to do, right?
Right.
And they're expensive. Just getting that Trillium grant it's a lot of paperwork, and you're lucky if you manage to do that. It's a pretty impressive feat. So like a pump track, like to get Velo Solutions to put a pump track in, I think it's like $300,000 to $500,000 or something ridiculous. I don't know. It's a crap ton of money.
That's a lot of trails too. Like you could build a lot of trails with that money.
Yeah, you could. I was watching a video recently about Bentonville, and Walmart's put a lot of trails in there.
Yeah.
And I think they said it was like, I forget what it was, like
74 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it worked out. Somebody did the calculation per mile or something, and it was like, I don't know, it was a ridiculously high number. I was like, oh my God, just to put it in. But yeah, like it's cheap if you get volunteers, I guess, but it depends on what you're doing. Cost can add up. I think to do the little bike park in Brantford, it was like $200 or $300, and it's all dirt. They had Jay Hoots come out and do it. But I mean, it all costs money, I guess.
Yeah. There's just a comment there in the chat from Ben. I know he's in that area, and he said it was $300,000 for that pump track in Uxbridge.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 300.
Yeah.
Was it a Velo Solutions pump track?
I think so. Maybe Ben can chime in there, but I believe it was, because I've seen some stuff on it, and that sounds familiar.
They make nice. Does it have a red line across the top? Because that's what Velo Solutions does.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. They do the best pump tracks from what I've seen. I've never ridden one, but I'd love to. They've got an asphalt pump track in Tillsonburg, which I've done a bunch of times. My parents live there, but it's built kind of more for BMX. I think it's really tight.
Right.
So
since we're sort of on the subject, what about something like a skills area or like a dirt jumping area, that kind of thing?
Well, the Brantford Park is all dirt jumps, and they have like a few. I think they've got a couple drops there, and do they have a skinny section? I don't think they have a skinny section. They have a trials area with some like logs and stumps and stuff like that. But yeah, that's great stuff, man. That's how you get the kids into it for sure. And I enjoy going over there, and I've got a dirt jumper, so
yeah, I'd love to get a dirt jumper. There's just nowhere to ride it around here. I could ride the skate park, but it's just not really geared towards it. Oh yeah, so they just confirmed it was Velo Solutions who built that there.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. We need to get more Velo Solutions in Ontario. I've never ridden one, but I want to really bad.
Yeah. So I guess with what you said there a few minutes ago, Tyler, like a skills section of the Pines thought about putting in something like that at the Pines, like an actual little skill building area or something?
I'd love to. It's just that, so it is a matter of getting, working with Upper Thames Conservation Authority to allow something like that, right?
Right.
Like because it would have to be really open conversation with them about it. And I don't know how that would go right now. I don't know.
Right.
I'd like to see it, but I don't know if that's a possibility.
Right. Do you guys still have a pump track there? I know you sort of did at one point, don't you?
Yeah, it's a little pump track. It's not in the greatest shape right now.
Right.
I think they actually might be taking the machine to it and just getting rid of it for now, because there's nobody riding it, nobody's taking care of it.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of it was a small it wasn't built necessarily properly for our use. It's also full suspension bikes are or even whatever bike you're bringing to the Pines might not be the best bike for a pump track either.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, we're coming on about an hour here, so I guess just final question I wanted to ask you, Darryl, is where's where's your favorite place you've ridden mountain bike to date?
I don't know. There's so many good places. I give you my top two: Thunder Mountain and Sentier de Moulin.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Am I pronouncing that right, Tyler?
I don't know how to say it either. I say I say Sentier de Moulins.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah. I love that place. It was like a combination of tech and flow, and it was built super intuitively so that you never it was challenging, but you never you always kind of knew that it was going to be good when you rode. There was no crazy surprises that kind of get you off guard. Right. But it's got a nice flow and tech kind of built in at the same time, and some larger slab rock, which you don't see on the East Coast that much.
Right.
Is that kind of what you thought?
I think you kind of nailed it too, because you said tech and flow, but it's like tech. It's tech, but you don't really stop moving, so you're always kind of in motion, even though it is technical riding. And I just wanted to say about those slabs too. I guess they've uncovered a whole bunch on the other side of the street now.
The Wolverine Trail, I want to go back and hit that.
So do I.
I want to do that bad. It looks pretty good.
Sweet. Yeah, you mentioned Thunder Mountain as being up there with the top two. A lot of what you're describing in Quebec sounds a lot like Thunder Mountain to me, though, too. Like it's got sort of the tech and the flow and combination trails that are kind of flowy and some tech. And Thunder Mountain's a great place. Yeah.
So you've been to Thunder Mountain?
Yes, twice.
Nice. Yeah. I liked it. I liked it more than Highland. And people are like, really? And my explanation of it was when I went to Highland, it was more of like a local's paradise. There's so much to unlock. And it also has trails for way beyond my skill level. It's got pro level trails,
right?
That really I couldn't take advantage of. I liked it there. It was really good. I just like Thunder a bit more because, for one, it was more manicured. There wasn't the braking bumps and all that stuff because Highland gets so much traffic. And then the other thing was Thunder Mountain has their jump trails are just kind of similar jumps, one after another, after another, after another. And there's just it just seems almost endless when you're there because we don't have that at Blue Mountain, our local downhill park, right?
Right.
So it just felt like it was the place to progress. My jumping, that Hollywood Trail is just I don't know how many, and they're very similar built every one. So you kind of just build up a good rhythm going there, and I really like that. And then I had fun on some of their other trails, which I do, kind of describe it like flow and tech, kind of that Billy Badger Trail is really good. I had a lot of fun on that trail.
Yeah. Have you been there, Tyler?
I have not.
I think you'd really like it there.
Yeah. I've been told by many that I have to go, and it's on my list. And it's definitely on my list.
It was I don't know if they had just redone all the trails or anything, but it was pristine when we were there. It wasn't zero breaking bumps. Everything was built and it just flows really nice. That Hollywood Trail was amazing. Yeah. I had a lot of fun there. And now they've got, I don't know if you're at this level, but they got that Fort Hill Trail. Tyler, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've got my eye on that.
My God. Would you hit some of that
scary,
stuff?
Though. Well, it's hard to say. Sometimes you see a GoPro of it and you're like, yeah, I'll hit that. But I know in the back of my mind that GoPro doesn't always do it justice. So it's and it depends on the day when you show up, but I'd like to go and try that.
Yeah. That is a trail I will never ride in my life. Yeah.
I don't know. At one point I would have thought maybe, but now I'm probably not ever. I don't know. It's huge. It's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people say if you can clear all the jumps on Hollywood, you can ride that trail as long as you keep the trail speed.
Oh,
As long as you
man.
stay at trail speed, you'll
I haven't
clear
seen it in
everything.
real life, but I don't know. It looked big from the video I saw.
Yeah.
Somebody said it was the biggest jumps in the East Coast. I don't know. I saw some big jumps at Highland.
I heard Jeff Lanoski say one of the jumps on that trail was one of the biggest jumps he's ever hit, and he's a pro rider. So
yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard from people that have been out to like Whistler and wherever, and they've said the Fort Hill is bigger than anything they've seen before.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see somebody hit it, but I don't know if I'll be hitting it anytime soon.
No.
But
I will say right now, I will never be hitting it because I case the hell out of everything. Yeah.
I love watching that. Are you guys watching the Dark Fest at all?
It's nuts.
Oh my God. Those guys are insane. It's insane. But I love watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What is that? I'm not even sure what you guys are talking about.
Dark Fest?
Yeah.
So you want to tell them, Tyler? Or?
It's just like the biggest, like everything is the biggest jump you've ever seen. And then like, that's the first jump. And then the next jump is twice that size. And then like, it just like, it's ridiculous. They're hitting like 100-foot gaps and they're backflipping them. And like, it's nuts. It's full downhill bikes. You won't see anybody riding that on a trail bike. It's just, they're probably hitting speeds of 80K. It's crazy. It's really, it's like the pinnacle of big free ride mountain biking. Other than it's kind of like Rampage, but for jumps.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I guess I would describe it.
I don't know if I'd call it free ride though. It's to me, when I hear free ride, it's like, I always think of like like somewhere in BC where they're building those, crazy drops. Not like machine built, like big dirt jumps, right? It's almost like supersized slope style. It's crazy. They're gapping 100 feet. Like it's insane. There was the video last year. I think it was Adolf Silva or whatever did a double backflip off of one of the jumps. And it's just like, these guys are next level. What's the Nico Vink? Oh my God, that his manuals are just at like Mach 80 manual, like, and then into a jump. Like, it's nuts.
I saw the one you're talking about. Like that blew my mind.
Yeah. Oh, these guys are next level.
Would you say it's like freestyle motocross without an engine?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like, yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, you got to check it out. Watch the videos. It's just really entertaining.
Yeah, I have to check it out.
See what these guys can do. I mean, and major consequence too. But and it's such a science to the building too. I love watching how they build it and then the testing. What's the guy's name who builds a lot of stuff and kind of runs the show? He broke his wrist.
Sam Reynolds?
Yes. Did you see that last year? They were testing one of the jumps and he came up short.
No, I didn't see that.
He just planted right on the face of it. He broke his wrist, but like fell from a pretty great distance. And then there was another guy who his fork broke when he landed and he got really messed up. I think they had to get him, I don't know, lifted out of there or something. But they've been lucky though. There hasn't been too many people getting hurt on there, considering how much they ride it. I think they're built like really well.
There's a guy from Ontario named Matt McDuff, and at one of the fest courses in South Africa, he built like a giant loop. Have you seen this?
That's at the same grounds, eh? It's the same
place.
Grounds. Yeah.
So he built a loop-de-loop that was 40 feet high, and he at the very peak of it, he flew out of it and broke every bone in his body.
The picture's insane. Like the picture of him flying out of that loop, it's like you would think the guy wouldn't have lived. And he's at Darkfest this year, just freaking sending it.
He's back, man. And he's from somewhere in Southern Ontario. I'm not sure exactly where, but I bet if you went to Joyride, he'd be there right now.
Yeah. He dropped an Joyride edit with Brandon Barrhay recently.
Yeah, so I'm glad he's okay, because he's like, him and Brett Reeder are like the best riders we've produced, like, out of Ontario, and he's awesome.
Yeah, super chill guy from what I've seen. I've followed him a bit. Yeah, and Reeder's just insane. Yeah, it's nice that we actually do produce some good riders in Ontario, right? Like, if you look at Brett Reeder, he did a downhill race last year, and he did like really well. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't know that.
I forget. I don't follow downhill too much. I just kind of watch sporadically, but he did. I'd have to look it up because I have a horrible memory. But he did a pro level race, and he got like 15th or something. It was his time was like, he was beating racers, like professional racers.
Wow.
There was one or two names that I recognized that he was ahead of. Like, oh my God. Yeah, I should find that. I'll send it to you. But he did a downhill race, and he like, it seemed like he could be competitive if he did that. So I mean, he's just, I don't know, a phenom. Like, how do you manage to be good at everything?
I think he's just got that like competitor brain.
I think a lot of the slopestyle guys it's skill. It's people, when they watch slopestyle, like, oh, that's not mountain biking. Yeah, whatever, man. Those guys they kick your butt at anything to do with a bike. Like, you put them on two wheels and they're going to kick your butt. Because I mean, that's just, it's all skill. And it's like carryover from BMX to mountain biking. Like, somebody who rides BMX, they can carry that skill over to mountain biking. So it's totally relevant.
Right. Yeah. I wish
I'd BMX. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just going to say
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually rode a BMX, but I just used it for transportation. I didn't actually learn how to do anything on it.
Yeah. I had the shittiest little BMX when I was a kid, and it was super heavy. You know, it had pegs in the front and the back, and I had this super steep kind of gully and I was on the road with it going down the gully, and I used to like to ride on the back pegs with no hands, with like my arms out, like going down the hill, right? I wiped out once doing that. I got scraped up my legs, and then I just went back and did it again.
Yeah.
I've definitely got some aches and pains from riding BMX.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ride BMX when you were younger, like teenage years, or?
I got one when I was 18, and then I stopped riding around 24 because I hurt my tibia.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't break it. I chipped it. Sorry, it wasn't my tibia. It was my talus, which is it's the bone on the foot that I think like slots with the tibia, and I actually extended the ligament so hard that the bone pulled off of like.
Oh.
The ligament didn't tear, but it actually pulled the bone right off the foot. So I stopped riding BMX after that.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
it's fine now.
It's fine? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took a while though. 2-3 years of walking funny, and it's good now.
Now, when you think about that and you go back in your mind, do you think you could have done anything to speed up that healing? Like, did you do everything in your power to kind of to expedite the healing process? Because I think like a lot of pro people who take the injuries and the process seriously can do the right things to actually get things healed up faster, which not everybody does. I don't know. I'm guilty of the same thing. I've had injuries in the past that linger on, and it's just you think back and it's like, oh, I didn't do the physio, or I didn't do, I didn't look after it. I didn't ice it when I should have, and done, like if you do everything in your power, a lot of times you can get, but it's a lot of work to do that too.
Right.
I definitely could have done more on my physio end of it, but I like when I was younger, I'd hurt myself and just keep riding. And this was one of the first injuries where I was actually like, okay, I'm going to take the time and I'm going to like stop riding and actually recover. But I could have done physio. I could have taken that more seriously. And that probably would have expedited it.
Yeah. Huh.
But you live and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't, and you're never going to do it perfectly. Like there's no
No.
such thing as perfect, right? But I read once that almost all soft tissue heals after about 6 months. So, but then other stuff, it takes time to build. I don't know, strength.
At least what my doctor told me is that ligaments are a little bit differently. Like once they're injured, they're kind of like he said, like you'll feel that forever. But and I felt it for a couple of years, but it's starting to feel like it's feeling good now. Yeah, 6 years
Scar
later
tissue
now.
maybe.
There was some scar tissue, and I did a lot of like massage just to break it up. Just when I'm sitting in my desk at work and I've got one hand, I'm doing work, the other hand I'll just like try and break up some scar tissue, and a lot of it was calf raises to strengthen the muscle around the injury. And then I think at that point I was putting less stress on the ligament as I walk, because I still had to walk every day. Once I had built up the muscles around that, my theory, at least my harebrained theory, is that I was able to take some stress off that ligament and let the ligament heal. And so what I do nowadays, I stretch, and as long as I stretch, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. So do you find you have to do those things, or you'll backtrack? Like it's always kind of something that you have to kind of take extra care over? Or?
I take extra care over it because even though I'm not really feeling much pain, I still feel like I'm more prone to injury on that side.
Yeah.
Like if I were to get in a crash, like I did roll my ankle last year, and I certainly re-injured it a little bit, but it wasn't even close to the same. Like I was in pain for a couple of weeks and then it went away. But like when I originally heard it, 5-6 years ago, I was in pain for well over a year, like probably closer to 2.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Jeff, you haven't had any injuries at all since you've started, really?
I've had a few bruised ribs. It's been about have been about the extent of my injuries. Landed on my shoulder hard once, and it kind of hurt for a couple months, but nothing major, thankfully.
All right, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Let's have a good year.
We'll knock on some wood. Yeah. It's it's hard to progress and not afraid of getting injured. So it's that Mountain Creek drop definitely scared me a little looking back on it.
Yeah, it could have turned out bad, but it didn't. So that's good.
Yeah. Like if I watched the video in slow motion, and you're like, holy smokes, that was so close to being really bad. Yeah. It gives me almost like cold sweats watching that video, because I just think of how it could have went.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about neck braces? Because I don't know if you watched Yuka's latest video. She's talking about how she wears a neck brace.
I know my buddy Dave that I ride with always wears one. And I know a lot of the people at Two Wheels Bike Shop that I know and have ridden with all wear the neck braces. I don't know. I've read sort of conflicting things both ways on it, whether it can be helpful or it can actually be worse in certain situations. So I don't know myself. I don't really have an opinion. I don't wear one myself, but I'm not against it.
I don't have one myself either, but I've thought about it. I don't know. I probably should maybe get one.
I used to wear one.
Yeah.
You don't wear one now?
I probably should. I still have it, and I didn't. I wasn't bringing it out west because there's just so many things to fly, and it is a pretty big, bulky thing. Right. So I didn't bring it out west, and then I didn't bring it to Killington, and but I think I'm gonna try and wear it more this year.
Right.
It also it interferes with the camera a little bit too, which is kind of a pain.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I've heard that it can actually you have a greater chance of breaking your collarbone. I don't know if that's true. Have you guys heard that before?
That's what I have heard. But I guess breaking your collarbone is better than breaking your neck.
Yeah, definitely. That's worst case scenario, man.
Yeah.
You can also wear like I have like a motocross like roost guard, which is just like a full on chest plate basically,
Yeah.
and that spreads the pressure from the neck brace across the whole plate, and then
Okay.
that's a non-issue at that point.
Right.
But you have to wear both pieces of equipment.
Right. Oh, so I just wanted to. We got a $20 super chat from Adventures on a $700 hardtail, which is kind of funny because you said your first
Nice.
hardtail was about $700. Did you
Yeah,
not?
it was. It
Yeah.
was. It was right
Yeah.
around seven. It might have been exactly $700. I just remember it being $700. Yeah.
And
But it probably wasn't as good as this guy's $700 hardtail because I just went and bought whatever I found at the store, and I had no idea what it was. It had like a Sun Tour, I don't know, like low grade fork on it, and whatever. But I rode it for a good little while before I upgraded. But it was definitely it was holding me back for sure.
It's funny when you get into it because you probably thought at that time $700 like was a lot of money for a mountain bike.
I bought a good bike, man.
Yeah, I know. I bought a 2008 or 2009 truck back then, and I paid like $500 for it, and I would be like, oh yeah, I got this high-end mountain bike, because that was like the most expensive bike the shop that I bought it at had at the time. It was just like a local shop, and they had a few trucks, and that was the most expensive one. And I had no idea what I was even talking about.
It's funny when somebody says they've got a budget from like $700 to $1,000. I always want to say like you should buy used, but then at that point maybe you're not equipped to buy used either, just because you don't know what you're looking for.
No,
right.
But like guys, that's a great budget if you're going to buy a used bike. That's a great budget, but maybe not so much new.
Yeah, I just met somebody through work who was telling me about his bike that he's just getting into mountain biking, and I just met him, and he bought a used giant Trance. It was 2013 or older, I don't know. It had a great big long stem that went upwards, and it looked like quite an old bike. And he paid $2,000 for it, and I'm thinking, oh man, I could have helped you get such a better bike than that. But I didn't say anything to him. Yeah, because I felt bad, right? He's like, he really was talking up this bike, and then he showed me. I'm like, ooh, I could have got you a lot better bike for $2,000. That he just bought off Kijiji, saw it off Kijiji and paid whatever the guy was asking, and like that bike was worth $1,000.
Yeah,
not even. Yeah. That kind of hurts my heart a little bit. I don't like to hear people getting kind of like fleeced like that. I don't know. Some people think their stuff it retains way more value than it does. Like maybe even the guy selling it didn't know that he was overcharging that much, right? And then this guy buys it. I don't know what the situation was, but
yeah, I mean he probably
overpaid.
Probably bought the Trance for like $4,000.
Well, back in the day, who knows?
8 years ago, right?
$5,000 or and then he thinks it holds its value. I don't know. But the bikes don't hold their value like that, man. Like after 4 years, it's going downhill by a lot.
Yeah.
So and that's so outdated now too. Like just the geometry and everything about it was outdated. Bikes have changed a lot in a short amount of time, right? So that makes those older models, even 6 years ago, it makes them not worth very much, right?
Right. So speaking of which, what we never did ask you, what are you riding for a bike?
So I have a Commensal Meta AM, just the 27.5 model.
Okay.
It's a 2016, so I'm looking at getting a new bike some year as soon as I can get my wife to approve the expenses. But
How was your experience with that bike? Did you enjoy it while you had it?
I still love it. Like that's the thing, is that I'm still like, I test rode a couple bikes last year, and I really wasn't that impressed that I was like, oh, I want to upgrade. Because a lot of times when you go test ride bikes, it's like the one I rode was like a lower grade, so the parts weren't similar. And then, like suspension's it's not dialed. You don't have it dialed like your own bike, right? But yeah, like I love my bike. I got 2 sets of wheels, like a light set of wheels and rubber, and a heavier set for downhill, or if I go to a place like Pisgah or something, I'll bring the heavier set. So the 2 set sets of wheels, really, it really does a good job at covering all my bases, which is harder to do with a lot of the bikes these days. I think a lot of the enduro bikes are longer and slacker, and they kind of have a tendency to be more, a little bit more trouble. Like my bike's 150, 160, right. And it doesn't pedal too bad. Like I put the lighter wheels and the lighter rubber on, and it's faster rolling tires too, and like I can keep up pretty good on the cross country trails with that bike,
right?
And then I can take it to a park, and it does pretty well too. So yeah, I've been happy with that bike. That's one of the reasons why I've kept it so long. Right now, I was looking at the new site that just came out, the Norco site.
Yeah, that looks pretty sweet.
Oh, I was drooling over that bike. That it looks pretty awesome. It sounds like it's similar to what I wanted. Like it said, from the reviews, they were saying it's not too cumbersome on the uphills or the roll. Like you even mentioned rolling terrain. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I can get away with it. Because a lot of bikes are like, yeah, it'll get you to the top, but and I don't know if that's the bike you want to be doing our local trails on. Right. I mean, ideally, I'd have a bunch of bikes, right? So, but it's just you got the hardtail this year, I guess.
Well, I have a full suspension on the way.
Yeah. So what is that?
It's the Da Vinci Spartan 29. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So that'll be a pretty big enduro bike.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be riding that at like the Pines or anywhere like that. I think that'll be like hardtail material there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty long, slacked out.
Yeah,
like it'll get you to the top kind of bike.
Yeah, and it's like 170, 165 travel on it. So yeah,
29er too, right?
Yeah. I'm almost afraid it's not going to fit on my bike rack for my car. Like looking at the measurements of it, and it's about 30 millimeters longer than my rein, and my rein was already pushing it as far as fitting on my bike rack. So it'll be interesting. But it should be here soon, so I'll know for sure soon.
How about you, Tyler? What are you riding?
I'm on the Specialized Stump Jumper Carbon 29, and it's great.
Oh, no.
But what you were just saying, I was totally thinking like I think I'm going to get a second set of tires this year, because I've just got the heavy tires on there right now.
Makes a difference, man. Yeah, I highly recommend that. Especially the Stump Jumper, because that's like another all-arounder, I would say. It just, it makes your cross-country rides, or if you go for the undulating rides, it just makes them more enjoyable because you're able to move faster, right? Mm-hmm. And it conserve more energy. Takes a lot of energy moving those big tires.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyways, we've been going for an hour and a half, so we should probably wrap this up here. If there's anybody still listening, I want to thank Darryl from the Woodstock Cycling Club for joining us today. It's been great talking to you, and looking forward to hopefully riding with you down in the States in a month or 6 weeks. We're looking at maybe doing that. That'll be cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I
can't wait.
I'm a little leery. It'll be my first time back riding again, and again I'm going to like Windrock and Bailey. Same thing I did last year for the first ride, and it's a little crazy. But what do you do this time of year, right? It's not like you can get ready for it and go to Blue or anywhere like that, because they don't open until sometime in May. So, did
you go to Joyride at all this year?
I went there once. I don't know. I wish it was closer. It's almost a 3-hour drive for me to go to Joyride, and I don't know if it's worth it for a 3-hour drive. It's fun, but it'd probably be better to go there on a weeknight or something. Just because whenever I've been there twice now, and it's a lot of kids and a lot of people, and it's hard to get your flow when you're literally trying just not to run into people. I'd like to go there some other time when it's less busy, but it's hard when it's basically a 6-hour drive there and back for me to go any other time than on a weekend.
That's tough.
Yeah.
We Mark and I usually go Sunday nights
Yeah.
Like I only probably get out there a handful of times in the winter. Like I think last year I went 6 times. And we go Sunday nights, but it's a 2-hour drive for me, man. I go, and we usually drive 7 till 10 or ride 7 till 10. So I'm 4 hours in the car to ride for 3.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man. I wish they had something like that closer. That would be so awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, I think we kind of touched on everything in the comments, and like I said, we've been going for an hour and a half, and I think it's probably time to wrap it up. So
all right.
again, thanks for joining us, and thanks Tyler for joining in as always. And if you guys haven't checked out Tyler's channel, Good Trails, make sure to check that out. And we'll see you again. Hopefully, I know this was 3 weeks since the last episode. Hopefully we'll have another episode in 2 weeks, but we'll keep you guys posted. So stay tuned.
Okay.
See you guys. All right.
See ya.
See ya.